Jessica Vero here for NASNA Challenge 6. In this challenge, Glitterbell's asked us to create an enchanted unicorn forest. How do you do that? Well, first you need some great products, a little bit of glitter, and then it helps if you have a magic wand. Let's see what we can do with all this. Let's try a sprinkle of glitter, and then a tap of our wand, and you get a beautiful enchanted unicorn forest. I think this can be even better. Enchanted forest needs to glow. Let's give it one more tap of the wand and see what happens. Perfect. Now my forest is complete with glowing flowers, electroluminescent mushrooms, and little glowing fireflies in the background. If only it were that easy. It did take a few more steps, so let's take it from the beginning. I started by sculpting a long square set using my background colors. Going with a square with a deep C curve, the product can be applied nice and thin. It's very easy to get bulky when you're adding layers of gel polish and 3D details. For the background, I'm using gel polish, painting in my tree, some sun coming through, and my magical watering hole, which will bring in all my mystical creatures. Since I marbleized the acrylic in the first step, I only need a little bit of shading for that background detail. To add texture to the water, apply a coat of clear Builder-Bell gel. Do not cure, and then take the gel polish and run it through the uncured gel. Still not curing, I've mixed some chrome powder into my no-wipe top coat and just running that through the uncured gel. The shimmer makes it look a little more magical, and then you can cure. Adding in the mossy rock detail around the water will give it a lot more dimension. This is the midground of the design, so we're keeping a lower profile and working quite thin with the acrylic. Next, I'm painting in my waterfall using gel polish, working wet on wet again. For the moss, place a bead of green acrylic, and then while it polymerizes, use a needling pen to rough up that surface. That will give it a mossy texture. When I'm creating something that's not fully 3D, I like to work on a piece of plastic, drawing out my design first. Then I can apply my acrylic to the drawn out design, peel it off, and then continue to add the details. Start by applying your acrylic, breaking down each section, the thigh, the belly, and being mindful what areas are closer to you. It does not need to be fully 3D to get lots of detail. When I'm doing this type of art, I always flip it over and sculpt the back. It's just as important as the front. Even though you won't see this as much, it will make a huge difference in your overall look. You do not want a smooth back on whatever you're sculpting. I've switched to the little unicorn in the background because it's done the same way as the big one, but it shows, working on such a small space, how that shading really pops that detail. I'm using a few different shading colors, purple, pinks, blues, to add in that contour. To create a magical glowing mane, I am painting in the hair using the Unbelievable gel, using 3 different shades, and I'm curing between each color. This gel paint has no tacky layer, so once cured, I can go in with the Chrome Crazy chrome powder and apply that chrome directly to that gel paint. Creating contrast is always good, shiny versus matte, rough versus smooth. One way to do that is adding gel details onto your acrylic sculpted character. Having the painted wings and scales on this little dragon will add that contrast. For me, it's the detail in the eyes that really makes these characters come to life. So you really want to make sure you're putting as much effort into making those look as realistic as possible. Once the foil is applied, I'll use my translucent red gel polish, paint in some shading in the final details, and finish with top coat. Now I can sculpt the rest of my details around that eye. To create scales, I'm applying the no-wipe top coat, then adding bubbles, curing it, and then applying chrome powder to that scaly textured top coat. On top of that, you can add in all the rest of the shading and the rest of the details to sculpt out that character. To make the dragonfly-like wings, I've attached 2 forms together so I have a solid work surface, and sculpted them using the blue jelly acrylic, which is a perfect translucent sparkly acrylic for this look. Here it is with painted details and the last bit of acrylic, and this dragon is done. To create my light effects, I cut up a string of fairy lights, attaching 5 little strands, so I had 1 for each finger. For this, I had to plan out how many light bulbs were needed for each nail. Fairy lights have bendable metal wires, so I just bent them into the shape of my branch for my flowers. And then you just simply coat your wires using the Builder-Bell gel. I'm using the color First Date, which is the perfect brown for my branches. The petals were sculpted in acrylic on the top side of a blink form. This gives it a nice curve to each petal. It makes it really easy to do lots of petals at once. Apply each petal surrounding that light bulb, securing it with clear acrylic. Next, cover that light bulb with yellow acrylic, and just like how we did the moss, we're going to create that texture using a needling pen. And the last step is adding a little bit of glitter using a gel polish. I'm sculpting my mushroom caps over shaped tin foil that's been placed inside the finger of a glove. The thin plastic layer will allow the gel to quickly release from its mold. These mushroom caps will be placed over top of the painted wire of the fairy lights, but first they need to be painted. Using gel paints that are translucent, I'm creating an ombre effect, and then going over top with the crazy chrome powder to enhance that glowing effect. To create the final detail, plus that contrast of matte versus shiny, paint the final details in using the Unbelievable gel. In the uncured gel, sprinkle some clear acrylic, and then cure. This will give a great texture to that mushroom. My goal was to use every single product that was given to us. So here I'm taking the Tutti Frutti Fly glitters and just folding them in half to give more of a 3D butterfly. And I'll be adding these to the background of my nail design. Now all that's left is the final details. I'm just sculpting out some leaves and then adding them in around my flowers. Proportion-wise, the unicorn is very small compared to the flowers and the mushrooms, and that's because it's in the background. But to show this further, I added the little butterflies around the unicorn and I've sculpted a bigger butterfly sitting on the mushroom. So this will show foreground and background. Here's a close-up look of all the nails before they go on the hand. So my idea for this was thinking of like an African watering hole where all these different species come together. That's what I wanted for my enchanted unicorn forest. And here they are, attached to the fingers with their full glowing effect. I had so much fun creating these, and I did use every single product that Glitterbells sent us. Finishing up with the full look, I just want to thank Glitterbells and Scratch Magazine for an awesome Challenge 6.